Ever hear this story or experience it yourself? I used to do so many sales on Etsy, but now it's dead. It must be the economy, Etsy.com itself, or a shadow ban. That's what many sellers come up with to place the blame on. I'm not ruling this out, but for my stores and stores that I've helped grow, those are not the case. What's up, Etsy sellers? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Dave. I do new videos all the time on Etsy and e-commerce success. Go ahead and hit subscribe and hit that like button. Shout out to everybody grabbing free consultation calls to help grow your store in the description below. So let's get started. These are the absolute biggest causes of sales slumps that I have seen on Etsy. In fact, if you're a seller on Etsy, it's almost a guarantee that you're going to experience these factors that inevitably cause stores their downfalls. I've seen it in student stores time and time again, and I actually can promise you that if you don't understand Etsy's algorithm, its uniqueness to other platforms similar to it, and how the algorithm lives and breathes, it's almost a guarantee that these factors, what we're going to cover today, will erode your Etsy career. The first thing I need you to understand is that Etsy is different from all these other platforms. It's not eBay, it's not Amazon. It is not a dump and forget platform. You don't list it and forget it. Each listing and each store has a lifetime in its own. And if you don't cultivate your store and your listings, then you will inevitably, without warning, start to erode, start to slump, and it becomes a compounding death spiral if you don't understand what we're going to cover today. So what the heck are you talking about, Dave? What are we really talking about? Okay, so the first thing I want you to understand is that Etsy is not an index. It's not like a library that you list your listing on and then it just exists forever. That flies over on eBay because you can't have duplicates over there, and you can't really do much in terms of forcing growth. You just list something and you sit there and wait until it sells, essentially. But with Etsy, your listings in your store is a living, breathing organism. You know, your conversion rate of your entire store, meaning every single listing combined and doing an average, gets rated in a conversion rate, how quickly you can sell. There's a number put on how good of a seller you are, your conversion rate. So listings have an average lifespan. They don't just sit there forever. And one of the biggest stories that I hear from sellers that I help revive these stores is that, hey, I did so well. I used to do so well for X amount of years, or whatever the time period is. 5 years, I used to do so well. I was on the top of my game. I was making $300,000 a year, $500,000 a year, 7 figures a year on Etsy. And now it's come to a decline. I'm 50% down year over year from last year. What am I doing? Oh my gosh. You know, is it the economy? Is it Etsy? What is Etsy doing to me? What is Etsy doing to me? And it's comes from a lack of understanding that Etsy stores have a natural lifespan, okay? If you don't take down listings that are just junking you up, just your old crappy listings, you have to understand those have a conversion rate in themselves. You don't get to see the conversion rate of individual listings, but you do get to see the conversion rate of your entire store. The conversion rate of your entire store is an average of all your listings. Okay, so how do you improve your conversion rate? You don't let things that haven't sold in years sit there. And every single store has these listings. Trust me, every single store, no matter how successful, everybody has these listings. In the 6-figure seller course, you can check it out in the link in the description. I call these digital cobwebs, okay? They're listings that are hurting you, pretty much. And it's inevitable. It's okay to have some, but it's inevitable. And if you don't cultivate these, you're going to eventually experience a slump. Okay, so these combined with what I'm about to talk about really combine together and cause slumps. But first, let's cover digital cobwebs just a little bit more. They're listings that haven't sold in a very long time or have never ever sold. Okay, those are the listings that are pulling you down. Listings have lifetimes. They don't last forever. Even your best sellers will eventually slow down after it depends on the lifespan of it. If it's a really good product, it could last for years. It does happen. It happens all the time. Bestsellers lasting for years. But you know, after 5-year period or even a 2, 3, 1 year period, they they go down. There's other factors that are outside of you that cause your decline. And then there's factors inside of you that cause your decline. And the first one that we talked about, digital cobwebs, that's the one that you can control. Now, when you have a ton of digital cobwebs, okay, and then we're getting into number 2 now. When you have a ton of digital cobwebs and the second thing happens, it compounds on itself. What's the second thing? The second thing is other competitors coming in to your space, into the niche, whether it's new stores adding new listings or existing competitors adding new listings. You have to understand there's millions of Etsy sellers, and those Etsy sellers are creating millions of listings. Each store is creating new listings all the time. That the algorithm has to sort them out. It's not like you're on top and the algorithm gives you a freaking pass to the top. Oh, cool, Dave is selling so well. I understand that there's millions of other Etsy stores in his niche, and there's millions of other listings being added. But hey, he bought a subscription to Marmalade and he found these good green keywords. So we're going to keep him on the top. No, that's not what happens. What happens is millions and millions of Etsy sellers adding millions and millions of listings. The algorithm is forced to sort them out, forced to give them a chance to see what will happen, because the algorithm wants to make money for Etsy. Yeah, it wants to make money for you, but it wants to make money for Etsy. So it's trying to find new bestsellers. So with all these new listings coming on the platform every single day, you can't just sit there for years and not add anything new in a substantial amount. Maybe, oh, hey, I added this new product this year and I'm still selling really good. People get really comfortable. You got to understand. And, I used to be one of those sellers. You get really comfortable. You're doing pretty good. You're making more money than you used to in your past life or whatever it may be. And you get comfortable. So people don't think about these things. And these 2 things I'm talking about are really very common that happen to Etsy sellers because people get inevitably comfortable. So lots of new Etsy listings and sellers coming onto the platform. Plus you have a bunch of old listings that are not selling well. You have a lower conversion rate. New sellers are coming on, and you inevitably lose your seat. You lose your spot in line. You get kicked out of your lunch seat or whatever, and now you're experiencing this slump, blaming the Etsy algorithm, in this case it is the Etsy algorithm, but blaming Etsy.com, blaming whoever, whatever it may be. And then you go onto forums, you go into Facebook groups, and you hear all the other loud-mouthed sellers that suck at selling on Etsy, and then you just self-bias confirm that, oh, yup, it's not me. It's Etsy.com, and it's this, that, and the other. So you got to understand that with old listings that never ever sell very well, plus new competitors coming on all the time, this causes a compounding doom factor on stores. And those are the 2 things that inevitably cause a lifespan of an Etsy store or a listing to decline. Okay. Those things are absolutely preventable. If you are, cultivating your store and listing new things, and if you're following the digital cobweb strategies in the 6-figure seller course, then you can overcome these things, and you don't have to have these things happen. You don't have to experience a slump, okay? And it's something that I help my students with all the time. If you want to, you can book a free call in the link in the description, and we can talk about working together. My hands-on one-on-one mentorship has caused a lot of sellers to become 6-figure, 7-figure, and get out of these slumps, rise from these ashes. Your store can be that phoenix again. It doesn't have to end. If you're experiencing a slump now, it doesn't have to end. You can revive a store, and I would love to help you do that. But in the meantime, go ahead and ask me anything in the comments. Go ahead and comment your thoughts, etc. And I'll see you in the next one. Have a beautiful day.